Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. You're welcome back to the part 3 of our Python tutorial series for absolute beginners. In the last tutorial, we talked about the print function and its optional arguments. We talked about values and variables, the input function, and the errors you're likely to make when using them, and how to fix it. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about looping, the range function, for loop, and mistakes to watch out for as usual. So let's get started. In the last tutorial, we saw how tedious it was to print 10 hello words because we had to copy and paste 10 times. That's going to be very tedious if you have to type it with our hand. There's obviously a better way to do it because programming is not meant to be that boring, and a better way to this is called looping. The concept of looping is important because it's one of the common ways a computer automates boring tasks or repetitive tasks. A loop is a group of instructions the computer executes repeatedly while some loop continuation condition remains true. There are two means of repetition generally in programming. We have the counter control repetition and the sentinel control repetition. In the counter control repetition, we know in advance how many times the loop will be executed, so we can call that a definite repetition. And in the sentinel control repetition, we don't know in advance how many times the loop will be executed. It will keep repeating until a condition breaks it out of the loop, so we can call it an indefinite repetition. The condition for determination of a counter control repetition is to rearrange the last item or the last number specified. The for loop in Python implements a counter control repetition, as we'll be seeing soon. We'll talk about the sentinel control repetition in the future. One of the common ways to use the for loop in Python is to use it with the range function. The range function takes in 3 arguments, 2 of which are optional. It takes in the step argument, the end argument, and the start argument. So the start, the end, and the step. The range function generates a number from the start value to the end value minus the step, with the step being the difference between the current value and the next, which is default to 1. Let's consider the range with range 0, 10, and 2. The 0 is taken as the start value, 10 is taken as the end value, and 2 is the step. A number between 0 and 8 is generated with a step of 2, that is with a difference of 2. So we have 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. If you notice, the value generated started from 0 and ends with 8. That's because the range function generates a collection of values from the start value, which is 0 in this case, to the end value minus step, which is 10 minus 2, because 10 is the end and 2 is the step. So the 10 minus 2, that's equals to 8. You can also choose to omit the last value in the range function. So if you check the second range function with a range of 5, 10. In this case, the step value is default to 1. And the number from start to the last minus step, which is 5 to 10 minus 1, in this case is generated because 5 is our start value and 10 is our last value. A number between 5 to 9 will be generated. That will be 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Also, you can choose to give only one argument to the range function, which will be taken as the last value, and the start value will be default to 0 and the step will be default to 1. If we have in the last one, we have the range 10, so that will generate a number between 0 and 9 because the start value is what is 0 and the last value is 10 minus 1, which is the step. Also, we can choose to give the step value a negative number. This will generate a number backward from the start, which is 5 in this case, to 1, omitting the last number. You can choose to use the range function in any of these ways. So we can either pass in the 3 arguments or pass in 2, in which that will be the start and the end, or we pass in only 1, which will be taken as the end, and the start will be default to 0 and the step will be default to 1, or we can pass in a negative number in which the number generated will be generated backward. Let's get back to our IDE and see this in action. Let's cut this away and start afresh. To generate a number between 0 and 9 with the for loop, we can just say for I in range 10 print I. We already said the range function is going to generate 10 numbers between 0 and 9, because the start value is what? The start value is 0 and the end value is 10, and the step is the first to what? To 1. So if we print this one now, we have 0 to 9. That's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are 10 numbers between 0 to 9. To understand this, you can say for each iteration, a number is picked from the collection of numbers generated by the range function. If you want to see the numbers generated from the range function, let's print list range 10. You need to, in order to see the values generated by the range function, you need to wrap it with the list function. So if you check this one now, we have 10 collections of number from 0 to 9. If you print only the range 10 only, we are going to have something like range, let's see. So you see you have range 10 to 11, 0 to 10. 0 is default as the what? As 0 is taken as the start value and 10 is taken as the end value. So let's clear this and explain what the for loop is doing. To understand this, you can say for each iteration, a number is picked from the collections of numbers generated by the range function, and I is assigned to each one. We then print I. So in the first iteration, I is assigned to 0, which is the first number generated, then to 1, then to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that continues until the last item is picked, then the iteration stopped. So to print the 10 hello world, we use the copy and paste to print in the first tutorial. You can just say print hello world. This one now, you see we have hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world, hello. You see, this is very easy. We don't have to copy and paste 10 times. In this example, we are not making use of the I variable here. We are not making use of the I variable. We are repeating a statement, which is a print hello world. The I only keep record of where we are in the loop. So if we print this one now, when I is equals to 0, we print the first hello world. When I is equals to 1, we print the second hello world. When I is equals to 3 or 2, we print the third hello world, and continues till I is equals to 9, and we print what? We print the 10th hello world. Let's add a statement after this for loop. Let's say after the for loop we want to print, after the for loop we want to print loop completed. The loop completed will be printed after the for loop has been executed, after we finish the execution of the for loop. That is, after hello world has been printed 10 times, then the next one will be what? The next line will be printed, which is a loop completed. If we run this one now, we have hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world till the 10th hello world. Then we print what? Then we print loop completed. So any statement inside this for loop will be executed the numbers of time we are looping before the statement that follows will be executed. So let's see this in animation. On the left, we have a for loop to print hello world 3 times. After printing it 3 times, we print loop completed. On the right, we have the flow chart that shows the flow control of the code on the left. In the decision block of the flow chart, that's the diamond shape. In it, we are checking if we've picked the last item generated by the range function. If that is false, we go down and print hello world, and go back up and check again if we have picked the last item. If that's true, it goes through the part that says true and prints loop completed, and the program ends. So let's say this. The finger is in the first line now. Check if we've picked the last item, which is false. It picks 0, goes down to the first part and prints hello world. Then go back up. Check if we picked the last item again. This time around, this false again. Picks what? Picks 1. Goes down to the first part, print hello world. Then go back up again. Check if we've picked the last item, which is false again. Picks what? Picks 2. Go down to the first part, print hello world. Then go back up again. Then it checks if we've picked the last item. This time around, we've picked the last item, which is true. Then it goes through the true part, then print loop completed. So I hope you understand this. So the statement to be repeated is not necessarily a single statement. It can be multiple statements or a block of code. For example, let's consider this with the print function and the input function. Let's say we want to ask for the user to enter their name 5 times. Let's say that's going to be 5. That will be what? Name is equals to input, enter your name, which is what? Which is the prompt. Then we close the bracket. Then we do what? Let's print the name. Oh, sorry, that should be a small letter. Print name. So we are passing what? We are passing the variable name to this print function. If we run this one now, the first time we are asked enter your name, which is Ahmad, it prints to the screen Ahmad. Then again does what? Asks us to enter our name. Again we have Ahmad. It prints to the screen again Ahmad, then asks us to enter our name again. It's going to continue these 5 times. We have Ahmad. After asking us for our name 5 times, it breaks out of the loop. If there is any statement after the loop, it goes through that statement. If there is none, it breaks out of the loop. Generally speaking, a for loop can be used with any iterable. An iterable in normal term is basically a collection of items you can loop over or iterate over. Apart from the values the range function generates, another example of an iterable is a list. We'll talk about list in the future videos. So another way to use the for loop is to use it with the list. For example, if you have, let's clear this one now. So we can have something like this. Ahmad, Mustafa, Dr. A. So this is the list. From here to here, a list is wrapped with these parentheses, these square brackets. So we can say for name in Ahmad, in a list of Ahmad, Mustafa, Dr. A. So don't forget to put your colon here after the first statement. Then we are going to print name. It might help to read this code as for every name in the list, Ahmad, Mustafa, Dr. A, print the name. So the output is a simple printout of each name in the list. Let's say we have Ahmad, Mustafa, Dr. A. So we can imitate the values generated by the range function by using the list of number. We can just say, instead of this one now, let's say we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we are going to print what? We are going to print numbers from 0 to 7 with the what? With the list, not this time around without the range function. Let's see, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Another iterable you can loop over is the string we have been saying, that is like the hello word. Let's see, let's replace this with the string. We have, let's say we have hello word. Let's say for this one can be any valid variable name. It might help to read this as for every character in the string hello word, print the character. So this will be a printout of every character in this hello word. If we run this one now, we have the first one is HELLO, the space WORLD. Instead of putting this hello word here, we can store the hello word in a variable. Let's store it in a variable. Name is equals to hello word. Then we can use that variable name here. Hello word is stored in this variable. Then the variable is used in the for statement. So if we print this again, we have hello word again, like we had earlier. So knowing this, we can modify the general structure of the for statement as for variable name in iterable, and the statement will be repeated. The iterable will be a collection of items like the values generated from the range function or list or a tuple or a string. Then the statement will be repeated is going to be the loop body. They will be repeated once for every iteration, and we have the indentation here, and the first statement must end with a colon. So while using the range function for the for loop, you should always remember that if a single argument is given to the range function, it's going to take it as the last value. So if we have range range 10, if we run this one now, the 10 is going to be taken as the last value, and it's going to print numbers from the start value to the last value minus the step. And here the step is 1. Since we are giving it a single value, the step will be default to 1, and the start value will be default to 0. Also, the range function, if given a negative step, like let's say 10 to 1 and a negative step, if we print this one now, the numbers will be generated backward. So we have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, and 2. So make sure you always remember these. And as Alan Pally said, there are two ways to write error-free program. Only the third one works. That is, there's no way you can write a program that is error-free. So by using the range function and the for loop we've covered in this tutorial, these are the likely errors you are likely to make. The first one is omission of this colon. Many make mistakes of this. So you run this one now, we have an invalid syntax. So always remember to put your colon here. If you run this again, we have our output. The second one is the indentation of the line. Anything that is supposed to be under this for loop should be indented. So if you bring this one backward, now we are going to have an invalid syntax. So expected an indented block. This is usually a single tab or 4 space. We run this one now, we have our output. Other errors you are likely to make while using the range function might not crash your program, but might give you an output you are not expecting. That's, for example, if you are expecting a number from 0 to 10 by passing a single argument to the range function, it's going to generate a number from 0 to 9. Always remember the last value of the range function is not always printed. It generates a number from 0 to the step. So if you have run this one and we have 0 to 9. This is not everything you need to know about the for loop. This is going to be the first video on for loop. We are going to have another video on for loop soon. In it, we are going to cover everything else you need to know about it. So as a practice question, I want you to write a program that uses a for loop to print a number 8, 11, 14, 17, 20 to 83 and 86. Also, you should write a program that uses exactly 4 for loops to print a sequence of letters like the ones seen in this output. So A, B, 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 C, D, C, D, C, D, E, F, 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 G. So in this tutorial, we cover the range function, looping, the for statements, and the things to watch out for when using the for loop, and the common mistakes you need to watch out when using the everything we've covered in this tutorial. So if you have any question, kindly leave them in the comment section below. I will surely attend to them. If you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly do so and make sure you turn on the notification button to get notified of future videos. Kindly like or dislike this video based on what you think. I look forward to seeing your feedbacks and recommendations. I will surely put them into consideration. So you can also follow me on my Facebook page. I will leave the link to them in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial.